for a community center that could combine the senior center with more of a youth oriented center, and a center that provides a full range of services. That could be something that could be located on the fairgrounds potentially. Could be used by the fairgrounds, but making better use of the fairgrounds. A lot of the buildings over there are really pretty old. The facilities really need to be updated and improved and better utilized, and the plan really recognizes that. But the plan also stresses that this is not a unilateral decision. It really can't be. The fairgrounds, Fair Board has to be involved, and they have to be supportive, obviously. But it seems like there are potential wins for all the parties involved. So that's something that's mentioned in the more than once in the plan. Parks, open space, environmental features chapter. Again, this incorporates the 2009 Parks and Recreation Master Plan by reference. We have a pretty robust Parks and Recreation Master Plan. There's a map in the plan. It's pretty hard to read on the slide, but it identifies potential neighborhood park locations, community parks, trails, parks and recreation facilities overall. I will point out that the process, what came out of the process is what an asset we have in Gardner with the greenways, the trail system, and all of the parks and recreation facilities, and a need to build on that. That really attracts residents. It's something people really want to see, and it's good for health. It promotes health, healthy lifestyles. In this section of the document, in this chapter, I want to point this out. This might not be something that everyone picked up on. The city has a contract with an operator for the Gardner Golf Course. That contract is expiring in 2018. The Gardner Golf Course is not as well utilized as it potentially could be. There have not been a lot of improvements to the Gardner Golf Course. So this identifies the need to do a plan, some kind of study for the Gardner Golf Course beyond that lease, after that lease terminates. And it's fairly kind of blank slate type look at it. Is it going to be an 18-hole golf course? Is it going to be a 9-hole golf course? Is it going to be something else? But this identifies the need to do that. Page 107, there's a lot of language in here about the importance of tree cover for various reasons, for aesthetic reasons, but also just for climatic reasons. Something that's also mentioned is stormwater and flood mitigation. That's on page 108. So every city has to, I'm not sure every city has to do this, but cities of a certain size have to do something called they have to get a National Pollution Discharge Elimination System permit from the federal government. And the city of Gardner has crossed a threshold where we're now a phase 2 NPDES city. And so those requirements from the federal government through the EPA are more stringent than they have been in the past. The city needs to develop a plan for better managing its stormwater, and so that's recognized in this plan. I should mention about stormwater management. That affects development regulations. It affects the land use entitlement process, because a lot of those improved measures are implemented through land use entitlements, through subdivision plats, rezones, site plans. Image and identity. If you look on page 112, the chapter recognizes the need to build on Gardner's historic resources. This is another thing that came out of the outreach. Gardner really does have some real assets where we sit on the junction of the two trails. We also are fortunate to have pretty impressive historic buildings right in the core of our downtown at the sidewalk. If you compare Gardner to other cities in Johnston County, we have more impressive historic resources in other cities in Johnson County. They've taken advantage of theirs. I think it's safe to say that Gardner really hasn't exploited that as an opportunity to improve the character of downtown, to attract business, attract retail. People go to downtowns because they go there for a sense of place. They go there because it's a cool place to be, for the character, for the walkability, and historic buildings that are authentic and really help create an identity for the community, attract those people, and they attract residents. So this plan really recognizes that, and this overlaps with the land use chapter and the discussion about downtown as well. There's an opportunity to plan and build new streetscape. We have a lot of corridors. We have corridors that have greenways or parkway strips between the sidewalk and the curb. That has potential for planting trees and providing a tree canopy and a consistent row of trees as a gateway into the city. Trees actually aren't very expensive. Sometimes they're kind of difficult to maintain, and there are certainly conflicts sometimes with infrastructure, but this plan does recognize the importance of that.
Just a quick question about the trees.
Sure.
I just noticed not too recently that there was a tree down by Imagine Dental that was pulled out and a new one was put in. I was just wondering why.
Why it was pulled out?
Yeah.
Is it in the street right away, or is it on private property?
It's on the main street. It's right in front of, or on the corner by Dr. Mazur's office. Imagine Dental.
Okay.
So on across the street from Brown House on that corner.
Oh, okay. Yeah, right here on Main Street.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, the tree.
It was a fairly big tree, and I was just wondering. I mean, I'm sure it was providing some kind of shade and whatnot. So I was just wondering why that got pulled out and a smaller tree was put in. It was kind of bushy. I mean, it was
Yeah,
big. So
I
I was
can.
wondering if it was like getting out in the way, and we're gonna go with something that grows more up, or.
Well, I can
why not?
I think I know why.
Okay.
A lot of the trees were damaged and some were dying, and they were the tree species was I think a Callery pear or ash tree. I think some of them might have been ash trees, and they decided when they put in new trees I think they're honey locusts, and either the pear trees were brittle. Pear trees are very brittle.
Yeah, but I didn't think it was a pear, but.
It might have been an ash tree.
Yeah.
And then you have the emerald boar ash coming in, and emerald ash borer.
Okay.
Yeah, so it might have been for that reason, but.
Diseased or?
Potentially it's
poison?
diseased. We can certainly
I'm just curious.
get you an answer to that question.
Sometimes. it doesn't
Yeah,
seem-
Parks and Rec did that. So I'm kind of speculating,
Okay.
but. So there's a sustainability chapter. Sustainability is incorporated throughout the document in different ways. One thing I'll point out, it's kind of a recent issue with increased interest in urban agriculture. There is some language in here about local food production on page 120, and it also it mentions a farmer's market, so you can, you can kill two birds with one stone. You have a farmer's market in your downtown. You can attract people, create vibrancy in your downtown, but you can also provide a way for local growers to sell local food. So implementation, the plan doesn't really do anything if it's not implemented. I mentioned before there's an annual review that's required by Kansas statute. Again, this starts on page 121. There's a lot of emphasis on coordination and leadership. Plans aren't implemented just by the city, they're implemented by other people. For example, when it comes to zoning, a lot of the ideas that are in zoning regulations, those aren't implemented until a private firm or a private concern develops property. So in that case, private property owners are an important partner. There are other partners that have been mentioned, like the Fair Board, Southwest Johnson County Economic Development Corporation, the Chamber. There's a lot of discussion about funding in here, securing funding. And in some cases,